Hi everyone, my name is Nithya and you're at my Flosstube channel, Daybreak Stitchery. This is a channel all about cross stitch, and so if you enjoy crafts, fiber art, stitching, cross stitch, hopefully you're in the right place. I have tons to show you. So usually this is my end of the month video. I'm going to show you everything I've been working on in March. I think we should just get this going. I'm going to grab a sip of coffee and then we're going to start. I have a start and finish, a SAF to show you. This was an unexpected, as usual, my SAFs are usually unexpected starts and finishes. So here's what it looks like. And this is one of the monthly freebies by Jeannette Douglas. Jeannette Douglas is doing a monthly free series called the Mini Bouquets. And so this is the February bouquet. See how there's hearts in the bouquet? I really love it. This was so quick to do. It was just like a couple of afternoons, but I was stitching on other things too. So I picked it up and put it down a couple of times, but super easy stitch. I barely used like maybe 2 or 3 snippets of like a 6 yard or 6 strand floss. Just 2 or 3 like stretches of it. Less than that, really. It was a quick and very little use of materials. So this is on just a scrap fabric that was in a grab bag, I think from 123 Stitch. And the flosses, I'll show you, I have the packet here. It's a Miss Dye thread from Color and Cotton. So it looks like this. And it's like a variegated gray, which, oh my gosh, I can't believe I haven't been stitching in gray because I kind of like the look of this. It's like neutral on neutral. Isn't that kind of nice? And I picked it because I have an idea for what to do with this. I got to see if it works out before I actually share what it is. But basically, it's going to be something for Steve. So I wanted to pick one of his colors. His colors are usually like navy. Steve's my partner. Navy blue, gray, and brown is basically his color palette. So I went with gray, and oh my gosh, I love the variegation in it. And I like, couldn't you just envision a whole monochromatic piece in this gray like this? Like on this, I don't know what we would describe this fabric color. It's like a beigey color, like a khaki, almost like a khaki beige sort of color. Very, very pretty. Color and Cotton has been, I don't know if they're still in the shop, but they were selling these packs of misdyed flosses. So it's these 20-yard packs for $5. So I took a risk on this one because I thought, well, I love all Color and Cotton, so I went ahead and grabbed it, and I'm so glad I did. It's so pretty. Now I want to find some kind of small monochromatic thing I could stitch with that. So it's I think it's a 36 count fabric. It was in a grab bag, so it didn't have any labels or anything. And I've stitched it with 2 strands, and that key, that teeny tiny key, is stitched 1/1. Everything else is 2/2, and that's how it's charted. It's charted as 1/1. I like it. It's got like nice definition. It's just hard to do because if this is, as I suspect, if this is a 36 count, 1/1 on 36 count is pretty challenging. So that bit took a little bit of time, but I think it's worth it. It looks really pretty. So those are the freebie mini bouquets by Jeannette Douglas. And I knew about it, but I had checked out the first one in January. It has some pineapples on it. It's cute, but I wasn't like super drawn to stitching it. And then I was watching Ryan, Ry McGuy on Instagram. He's got a new Flosstube. Is it called Stitchpedia? I don't remember what it's called. You know what it is. I'll put it down. I'm getting better with adding text to my videos, so I'll put it down below. But anyway, I was watching one of his videos, and he had done a beautiful finish on the February bouquet. He had made this small muslin envelope, a cloth envelope, and put it on the front. It was so pretty. So that's kind of what I credit him, because he kind of gave me the idea of like, oh yeah, I do have a gift thing I want to make for Steve, and this is going to be a cute cover for it if it works out. So that's my start and finish. Let me grab, I have an unbelievable amount of stuff to show you. So I'm going to grab my whips and then be right back. Okay, so we've got some whips, a whole bunch of whips. So first one is Modern Folk Embroidery 2021 Stitch Along. Fabric I don't talk about. The threads are Threadworks Desert Sunset. And that's the kind of orangey, this orangey color in there. And then the blue is Caribbean Bay. It's a DMC color variations. The Desert Sunset is Threadworks. I don't know if I mentioned that. And this is just kicking along. It's one of my Whip Go goals, so I've been working on it a lot. And I've made it down. If you look at the very bottom, that is July and August, I think. Is that right? January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August and September I've started kind of poking into. That is down here. That's September down here. So I have been working on all the months. I've been dipping into all the months. I did a little bit of January. In January, I decided, so if you've been following, you know that I finally made a decision about using the Desert Sunset for all this negative stitching in here because it shows the details really well, the contrast. Whereas this blue up here, I'd originally put it in this blue, and you can't see the contrast as well to in the negative stitching. So all that blue, I've started pulling it up. So like this all here, I had pulled out and redone. So that was January, February. In the March section, I stitched on the vase here and then the side border, this flower in the side border. And then May and June, I did a bunch. That's the middle and like all this in here. I did a bunch of that. And then down below, I added all that. So I worked quite a bit. This was the project I worked on the most this month. My Whip Go goal for it is to work on it for 5 days, pick it up 5 times. But I think it was more like 10 times that I picked it up. So I'll keep that going. I really want to try to finish my 5 projects that I have on my Whip Go board. I want to try to finish all 5 of them this year, and they're all kind of like that size. They're bigger. So just got to keep chipping away at that one. Okay, next one. This is not a Whip Go project. This was my New Year's start. Let me show you the picture. It's Mojo Stitches. It's my first Mojo Stitches, and it's called Peace and Plenty, a New Year's wish. And so it looks like this. And so I did pick this one up a little bit. Technically, I picked this up at the end of February. This was after my Flosstube, my last Flosstube 17. I picked up this one a little bit and worked on it. So what is this fabric? It's a color and cotton fabric, but I'm not remembering the color. I don't remember what color it is. It's kind of like a gray with sort of tinges of purple, like a lilac-y purple. And then the thread is Silks for You PR 119, which is a very pretty, like this kind of reddish brown. I love that. So it's coming along. It's a pattern where I feel like I really have to pay attention closely to it. It's an 18 count Aida, so it's stitching up quick. I just have to, like these petal motifs, for example, they're just not a familiar motif. So I feel like I have to really pay attention to it and get the hang of the pattern. And each one is a little bit different. Like these angled petals, are different from the side petals. You just have to pay a little extra close attention. I have Michelle G is doing this thing where, how does it go? I think she's trying to finish every project that she touches this year. She's trying to finish. I would love it. While I want to finish my 5 Whip Go projects, I would also love it if I could finish anything new that I start this year. I think it would be fun to try to actually finish them and not have like any carryover whips from 2022, if that makes sense. Like I still have a whole bunch of whips from the past couple of years, but maybe any like this Peace and Plenty, I feel like it's small enough. Maybe I could try to knock that out. Maybe we'll see. Okay, my next piece is Kain Kapal. And this is from JavaCrossStitch. Era is the designer, fantastic designer. This is a traditional Kain Kapal, a traditional ship cloth from Indonesia. And Era is from Indonesia, from the region where these cloths are from, where they originated, this weaving tradition. So Era charted a cross-stitch pattern based on those traditional weavings. So I am doing a sale with this, and I have a couple people joining me. Anyone's welcome to join at any time. I will link the pattern below if you want to join us. What I did is I took this pattern, and I'll have to throw a picture up. I divided it up into sections so that there are 12 sections. We're trying to tackle one each month. So January was this top border here. February was this red one here. And then March now is this side border here. This pattern works up so fast. And I don't know if it's because we are dividing it up, you know, little by little. It's amazing how quick it's going by. I mean, I just, like the past couple of days did this border. It took almost nothing. I mean, the same amount of time that it took me to stitch that little bouquet, basically, just a little bit more than that is what it took. Now, technically, I have a little bit of back stitching I have to put in here, which I haven't done. But I have to watch a video. My stitchy friend Sarah recommended a video on couching back stitches. I need to do that before I get the back stitching done in here. But don't you just love it? I think it's so pretty. These borders are kind of unfamiliar and so pretty. I love it. So next month, the section is actually like this. There's a border just like this on this side. That will come later this year. The whole middle section here is the actual ship. So these ship cloths are, I think it's like a ship of life. Sometimes I've heard it referred to as that. I think like the Tracy Horner from Ink Circles has done some of these too. And she calls hers the ships of life. I think that's what they are. Like they have spiritual significance. Like the boat is supposed to represent like the movement through life. And then the different motifs that show up either in the air, on the ship, or below the ship, all represent like kind of the movement of the soul or something like that. I need to read more about it. But so we're starting on the ship part next. And the way that I'm going to do it is there's a triangular motif that comes in at the top here. I'll try to zoom in. I'll try to put in a zoomed in picture. But there's a triangular motif here, and there are 15 peaks of that triangular motif. So I'm going to stitch 5 of them and then do the half section below that. So basically the whole ship motif is split into 6. So April, May, June, July, August, September. So then November will be the opposite, the side border. That's how I personally am splitting it up. But I mean, anyone who's stitching it, you can do it however you'd like. We actually have, what's really cool, we have a couple of stitchers from Indonesia who are joining in on this too. And one of them is a center starter. So when you see hers, it's Awen on Instagram. I'll link Awen's Instagram below so you can see what hers looks like. She started a middle start. So hers is working up a little differently, but yeah, loving this one. Can't wait to start on the ship. Kain Kapal by JavaCrossStitch. There are a lot of Era has created a lot of really beautiful patterns. In fact, there's another Kain Kapal that has more red on it. This is Kain Kapal 3, I think, is what the pattern is called. She's got a Kain Kapal 4 in the Etsy shop. I have to ask her about 1 and 2. Those aren't in the shop, but I wonder if she sells them somewhere else or has them on her blog or something. Yeah, I love those. Okay, next one is my other WhipGo pick. So this is by Owl Forest, and it's the Acorns sampler. And it's on 18 Count Jade by Picture This Plus. And the Threadworks, I am not going to remember the code of the Threadworks, but the color is called Marooned. And it's got that beautiful variegation, like gray. Technically, it's got some brown in there too. It's gray to brown to maroon. It's really, really pretty. And so what I had done before this month was this side of it. So this month I did this side of it. I wanted to make it to that across the top, to make it across the corner. So I'm loving that one. I have this spot on my WhipGo board. I've been switching it out. Like I haven't been able to settle on what do I want to put in that spot. I had my Huga sampler in that spot, but then when it came down to it, I didn't really feel up to doing it. I know that's the point of WhipGo, is to like actually tackle the things that you might not want to do. But now by putting this on there, when I was doing my whip parade in December, it reminded me like, oh yeah, I really love this pattern. So I put this on there. And now all of my WhipGo projects are on 18 count Aida, which I think will help me stitch them up faster too. I only did my 5 days on this one. I didn't go over. So basically, let's take a look. No, that's the wrong side, which is the side that I did, this side. I mean, I was able to work up this in 5 days. It's not too bad, especially since like that one motif down at the bottom is pretty much negative stitching. That's a lot. There was a lot of paying attention and stitching there. But I love all these leaf motifs. There's the acorns are popping up there. I love that large acorn right in the center in the top border. That viney pattern in the border, I think that's so pretty. I feel like that I need to reuse that for something. It's really, really pretty. That vine is one of those kind of stitches where like you're following the pattern and you're putting in stitches where it tells you to, and you're like, not sure how this is going to end up. But then when you actually finish it and you look at it, you're like, wow, it's so pretty. It really does look like a vine. You don't see it, until you finish it. So Owl Forest is Russian, and I'm stitching. I'm not doing like a boycott of Russian, designers. Unless I hear something about how they're pro-war or something like that, then of course I will. I actually have been, there's a watercolor artist who I've been following, and I'm going to link their Instagram name below so you can check them out. Ashia Art is her name. She's a wonderful artist, watercolor artist, and it's so unique what she does. Most of her paintings are just of everyday life kind of scenes. She'll be like at the market. It's a painting of her at the market and her little cat's in her bag, or she's in her room drawing and her cat's on the shelf. And she uses these bright like oranges and pinks with like touches of blue. It's just beautiful what she does. And I don't know about you, but I've been reading a lot about Russians who are protesting the war, and she's one of them. And her Instagram, she hasn't posted very much, but she just talks about how terrifying it is if you're anti-war there and how scary it becomes. I think you need to hear it from her. I won't recap it too much, but she eventually left. She posted not too long ago and she said, I just had to leave. She said, I can't be in a place where it's dangerous for me. Like I'm worried for my safety just for speaking up and saying that I don't believe in this war. So she eventually fled Russia too. So I think that's very scary. And what's happening, the whole thing, everything on both sides of it is awful and scary and horrifying. But check out, if you want to hear, what it's like for someone like that, check it out. I have in the description below, I usually list all my projects. And then I also usually have a section where I put the names of Flosstubers who I mentioned, but I'll put her Instagram in that section too. She's Ashia. She goes by Ashia Art on Instagram. It's a really interesting to see that perspective, and sad and scary to read about that too. Okay, so that was Owl Forest. It's the Acorns sampler. Also, Owl Forest, I'm shaking my head at them, not for the current event stuff, but they just put out a whole series of patterns that are indigenous motifs. Oh, Owl Forest, why'd you do that? I mean, you just can't stitch motifs from oppressed cultures and make money off of them on top of it. It's just not appropriate. It's cultural appropriation. They're labeled as, the translation of it says quote unquote Indian motifs. So it doesn't even identify like what culture they're from, where exactly they're from. It's in another section that calls them Mesoamerican motifs. I mean, I think there's something like right now today in what is now the US, there are more than like 500 cultural groups that are native, indigenous. So when you say something is Indian, like what are you saying? It's just inappropriate. They're really lovely, but they are just not culturally accurate. I think they don't reference anything cultural. And also people should not be making money off of peoples who have been oppressed and had their culture taken away from them. That's how I feel about that. I've talked about that before. That was I saw the picture. I'm like, what is this? Oh no, that was my reaction to it. So it's a real bummer when people do that. If you want to know more about native rights, actually, on Instagram. I think it was Laura Chaco Tarsier Stitches who recommended Decolonize Myself. I will link them below if you want to just be better informed about Indigenous issues that are happening, Native issues, First Nations, so like things happening in the Americas. And then Lakota.law is actually a really good one to follow too, because they're like an activist group that's working for Native rights. So let's all just get more informed so that we can recognize when things like this happen. And I haven't contacted Owl Forest yet. I need to. Usually my thing is I contact the designers and then they usually contact back being really snippy or defensive, or don't reply back at all, which is what usually happens. But I'm going to contact them anyway. Okay, moving on from that one. So I'm doing a little stitch along with a friend of mine who's a really old acquaintance I've mentioned before, Priya. She's a cardiologist. And so when I saw the Heart Sampler by Bad Vibes Only, I'll have to throw up a picture because what I've stitched so far doesn't look like anything. Bad Vibes Only, Kit is the designer of that, and she's created this heart sampler, and it's got that kind of anatomically accurate-ish heart there. And Priya just loved it, and I said, well, do you want to sell this? She said yes. So basically I only stitch on this when I'm chatting with her, video chatting with Priya. She doesn't live in Illinois, so I've gotten a little bit more done. So this is part of the heart right here. And then I dipped in, I wanted something easier to do on our last stitch and chat, so I just went to the side border to work on that. It's really pretty. I'm just using like whatever reds and pinks I have from my stash. So it'll be kind of a mishmash of all different reds and pinks. So I really don't remember what I'm using here. I think this is that same Silks for You. This dark border that's coming in is the same Silks for You that's on my Peace and Plenty, PR 119. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. I think some of these are color. I got some color and cotton happening here from stash, but I don't remember what all the colors are. The fabric is 36 count. It's hand dyed by Rolanda. Is that pretty? It's kind of pretty, actually. So I think all the colors will stand out well. It has some lighter pinks, this pattern too. So I think those lighter pinks will do just fine. And it's got some white too in the pattern. So I think it's just called Heart Sampler. But anyway, I'll get the name and link it below. Okay, next whip. So I just a few days ago made a little 15-minute video about the Craftivism fundraiser and the Stitch and Chat that I'm organizing on April 3rd. I'm organizing a Stitch and Chat. Anybody who donates to the Craftivism fundraiser will get an invite if you want to be invited. So check out, I'm not going to talk much about that here because I already made a separate video. It's labeled Flosstube 17B. If I figure out how to link videos in here, I'll try to do that. If not, it'll be linked in the description below. But it's it's the most recent video I just made a few days ago. And in honor of that Craftivism fundraiser, which was for International Women's Day, I wanted to start Keslyns Quiet Strength, which I did technically last month. I put in my first few stitches and I showed you what I'd been starting on it. So let me show you what I've done so far. Let me just orient it because it doesn't look like anything yet. So it still doesn't look like anything yet, but if you look all the way on this side of the picture, like it's her headscarf. That's what's going on here. So it's all that DMC 310. I did a lot of DMC 310, and it's the folds in her headscarf that are over here. So it doesn't resemble much yet, but it will. I wanted to put it on a bright, even though technically it's like all that is full coverage, right? You're stitching everything in there, but I thought it would look really pretty on a bright. I wanted like a bright, optimistic, like looking to the future kind of brightness fabric, so that basically all of this space all around will be the fabric, and in here that will all be fabric. So I wanted this bright color. This is actually a delight to stitch on, even though it's a full coverage. I am really enjoying it. I have a paper pattern, so I didn't try to put it on Pattern Keeper, even though I know that's a thing you can do. I've made a working copy and I've been highlighting stitches as I go. And I try to go for like a color completion thing. This is more or less the length of it here. So like the top of her head comes around right along here. And then there are just a few more rows down below. I'm missing like five stitches to get down to the bottom here. So this is the height that it will achieve. And it's not that scary. I mean, how many pages was it? It's 4 pages, the pattern, but they're like long. It's like 8.5 by 14 size pages. So they're a little bit long. But still, I was able to do, this was just a weekend. All of this DMC 310, and I've almost got all of the DMC 310 from these 2 pages. So it's been just, I really enjoy it, actually. I really liked it. I did a little bit of gray down below here too, down at the bottom. Are there 2 kinds of gray? Yeah, there are 2 kinds of gray in there. It's just, it'll be a pattern where you just have to keep chipping away at it, and then hopefully at some point it will look like something. I'd love to I think it'll be interesting when it gets to, let me show you again, her hand. Because there's some fabric that will show in through here, like on this side of her hand, right? That'll be fabric. So like I'm stitching this part of her right now along this side. And then it'll be interesting to see that hand come up. Yeah, I'm enjoying stitching on this one. I thought when you look at the chart, it's pretty scary because there are a lot of color changes, because to get all of those gradients in color, it's color changes, and it's all like the whole palette is just grays basically. Can I show you? I'll grab the colors real quick and I'll show you. Like these are the colors. It's all grays. So it is a bit intimidating when you look at the chart at first, but the strategy of just like taking my time, doing some like sections of color completion, that seems to be helping. And this what is this fabric? It's got really good coverage of 2 strands of DMC on it. It's a Picture This Plus. It's either like Tango or Rubius. I don't remember what color this is. But it's nice. I like stitching on a contrasting color fabric. I wonder if that's adding to the ease of it, possibly. I'm not sure. Anyway, that's happening. You have to kind of envision her headscarf right here. These are the folds in it. I love it. I think it's coming along. I stitched on this more than I thought I would. I thought I was just I'd given myself permission to just do like a strand or 2, and I ended up spending like a whole weekend on it. So that was a fun one to work on. That's Keslyn's Quiet Strength. Okay, moving right along with these whips. I stitched a bit on Trans Pride Tapestry because I was listening to a lot. So, okay, Trans Pride Tapestry. This is by D's 20 Stitches and Uncanny Kari. And so I had fun with some of these outlines this time around. So let me see, what did I do? Well, definitely this bit of the unicorn, all that I did. This motif here. And then these here, I think I added in. So this is just a joy to stitch on. I just love it so much. Every time I pull it out, I think, yes, this is such an enjoyable stitch. It's on a Fiberlicious fabric, Sweet Tea is the color. So it's got, I had emailed Fiberlicious to ask about what color they recommend if I want something that's pink and blue. And this is what they recommended. I think it's a good pick. Back's pretty too. So I'm using the called for colors on it. And I can't wait. I was kind of going for just doing outlines, because then there will be a day. I think it was Michelle G again who mentioned like, oh, wouldn't it be great to just have fill in, like get to a point where all you have are the fill-ins, and that would be so easy to do. So I want to keep this one out and keep chipping away at this one. Okay, so this month, okay, all the Texas stuff is happening, right? So I've been reading a lot on Equality Texas's website, and I've been trying to get just more informed, because I think I want to psych myself up to maybe doing some phone banking this summer in favor of the Equality Act. So definitely find out, where do your representatives and senators stand on the Equality Act? The Equality Act is a bill that has passed the House, and it needs to go to the Senate now, but it would basically amend the Civil Rights Act from 1964 to include protections for our queer friends and family. So I've already talked to, sent in my 2 cents on it to my reps and senators, and I always get like my form letter response that says, yes, we're on it, because I know where my reps stand on it, but I don't know if you know where your state representatives stand on it. So especially your senators, because now it's up to them to pass it. So definitely check that out. And then I'm going to link below. I've been making a little playlist of just like interesting and informative resources on trans rights in particular. And so I just called the playlist Trans Rights, and I've thrown some videos in there. And I really liked, for example, there's a video by, it's an interview with Judith Butler, who's an academic, and their area of expertise is trans rights. And they've got a lot of, that interview is super fascinating. So while I was stitching on Trans Pride Tapestry, I was trying to like just get better informed and get myself ready to be a little bit more active in this area. So I will share that playlist below, and then I will just keep adding to, as I stitch more on this, I'll try to find more resources and add them to that list. You're welcome to listen to it. Okay, next whip. We're down to just a couple more whips, everybody, and then I can show you some new starts I tried. I just pulled out, I had been watching, again, Laura Chaco's video, and recently Laura had finished Tokapu by Ana Aguayo, and so I took out my Tokapu to work on too. Every time I look at a pattern by Ana, I think, why am I not stitching Ana's patterns like every single day? I love them so much. So this is Tokapu. There are 2 of them. I think this is the first one. I love it. I love it so much. This is just a really easy, enjoyable stitch. I am not using the called for colors, but I'm using similar colors. I just swapped it out for some fancy flosses. Like I've got a couple of gentle arts. I know this is Ruby Slipper and that's Burlap. And then the white and the black are Valdani, but I don't remember what their color names are. I want to say the white one is Subtle Elegance. It's like a variegated white and beige. I don't remember what this one is called, but it variegates between purple, blue, and black. Something night. I don't remember. Let me know. If you want to know what it is, let me know and I can find out. I can look it up. Ruby Slipper is one of my favorite gentle art colors. It's like got a very subtle variegation. Do you see it here? How it's kind of like a almost a coral to like this brownish red. I really like that. So I did quite a bit. I finished the stitching on this motif. I was working on some of the borders a little bit, like this border I brought around, and then I started this right here. This should be so easy to finish. I think I got to just chip away, try to do like maybe like a strand a day kind of thing on it and see if I can chip away at it. It's just so easy. This is a fabric that doesn't have a name. It's by XJU Design, and it came in a little pack of teeny tiny fabrics. These are all 8.5 by 11s, so there were different colors in there. So this came in that one. It's a 28 count, which I don't usually stitch on because I use 3 strands of thread on a 28 count. So that I made a poor choice in choosing fancy flosses for this fabric because it's eating up all my fancy flosses by using 3 strands on it. But I just need that, like, I'm very particular about having the stitches fully covered. So I tried it with 2 strands and I couldn't live with that. So 3 strands it is. So definitely we'll come back to that. That's Tokapu. It's by Ana Aguayo, who goes by PeruvianFlair is her design name. And I love everything she creates. Okay, my last whip is going to help me transition to my new starts too, but I'll show you the whip first. So it's, I wanted to do some stitching for Stitch for Ukraine, and my kind of go-to designer from Ukraine, who I've purchased from before, and I love all her patterns, is Ilona. She's 2x2 stitch art, and I'll show you. You're going to recognize these if you've been watching my videos all along, but this was just one set of motifs from one of her really large patterns. So she has an ornamental carpet sampler that has, it's actually 4 of these squares. I'll try to put a picture in. It's got 4 of these squares and then like these borders that come around. I just did part of it. And this is with DMC 550. Clearly still have not finished this one, so that needs to be done. But that's Ilona. That's 2x2 stitch art. And then my cross stitch journal, which I won't show much of. I'll just pick one motif to show you. Right here, I'll show you this page. Those 2 cross stitch motifs, they come from a Quaker sampler that she designed. So I just did a bunch, instead of stitching the whole sampler, I just did a bunch of small motifs and I put them into this journal. So that's kind of what I like about Ilona's patterns. You could do the whole one, the whole large pattern, or you can take bits and pieces. There are a lot of really beautiful like standalone motifs from her work. So I worked a little bit on this old whip, which is her flower sampler. And I didn't do much on it. I did this little flower bit came in. It's almost at the corner. Like it goes out a little bit farther and then there's a corner here. I should have worked out to it, but I didn't. And this awesome thread. This is fabric is 18 count shale by Picture This Plus. And the thread is by Dyeing for Sass, and it's Goth Rainbow. And it is so beautiful, isn't it? It variegates in these sort of unconventional rainbow tones. And I don't know if you're seeing it. You won't see it on my video. Like even within the green, like this, there's kind of a lime green. There's bits of mint green in there. Like there, that pop of mint green. It is so pretty. It's so unexpected and pretty what happens with that thread. So this had been a restart last year. And I'm using this floss for it and I'm loving it. I love it. So that's 2x2 stitch art. Ilona uses like search terms for her titles of projects. So it can be a little bit tricky to track down a project on her Etsy page because like you need you search by keywords. It's not like a title for the project. So like this one, if you search for flower sampler or floral sampler, it'll come up. When you download the files from her, they have they're numbered. So like, I don't remember what number that one is, but I have like my purple piece. I think this one was sampler 23 when the file name came. So that's how those work. So they don't have like, you know, an individual name. She uses all these search terms as the title. So they can be a little tricky to track down. Okay, I want to grab new starts. I will be right back. Okay, so I did start a couple of new things, and I was on a 2x2 stitch art kick because I bought a bunch of patterns for Stitch for Ukraine. So I actually started a few of them. So let me show you what I've started. So this one is called the Flower Panel Sampler. And I'll throw a picture up and you can see how it compares to this. So I'm not stitching the whole one. I'm just stitching part of it, just a few of the motifs. But you can see this is the tulip coming in right here and some tulip leaves and some little flowers in there. I love these big leaves over here. I love this pattern. And what I decided to do because I'm impatient is, so I had ordered the Sulky pack. I'll show you when I go to plans, I'll show you couple of things I picked up from Nashville Market, but this is one of them. I picked up the Sulky pack for the new ink circles pattern. Is it called Tangled Fire? I don't remember what it's called, but it had these beautiful like autumn colors. And the minute I saw the palette, I said, what? I need that. So these are all Sulkies. I've been stitching on Sulky on 18 count and it's been going pretty okay. This is a color and cotton fabric. It's called Moss. It's an 18 count Aida. And I think the colors look pretty good on there. And I'm not doing too much planning about like what color I'm using where. I just kind of picked, like for the tulip, I kind of thought of red tulip. So I started with that. And then there happened to be a darker red. So I'm using that for the inner petals just to show a little bit of depth and contrast. And I grab, you know, for each kind of new type of leaf or flower, I'm changing out the color. So I love it. I love autumn colors. They're one of my favorite, like these oranges and reds are just one of my favorites. I'm always drawn to those colors. So I love this color palette. So, and I feel happy to be stitching on something for, more of Ilona's stuff. I don't know how Ilona is doing because a couple of times this month I purchased like batches of her patterns. And each time I'll put in the notes, hope everything's okay. Are you doing okay? And she's set it up so that it's just like a standard reply. It's the same standard reply on each one. So I don't know if she's left or, if she has access to her accounts or I don't know what's going on with her. I hope she's okay. She doesn't have a Instagram account. So I don't know how she's doing. I'm just hoping for the best for her. I'm stitching one more that I started that is by 2x2 Stitch Art. This one, when I downloaded the file, it was called Sampler 56. I have no idea what the search terms are in the title. I need to look it up. So this one is just a geometric pattern, but I decided to use colors of the Ukrainian flag on it. So these are all sulkies. And let me tell you, so this is a 40 count. Picture this plus it's barnwood, which is a dreamy fabric color. But I'm using sulky on a 40 count and I love it. First of all, the 40 count is really easy to stitch on. I don't know why I've been intimidated by it, but in this particular fabric, it's been really easy to stitch on. And the sulky, of course, just makes everything easy to stitch on because you're only using one strand. Coverage is excellent. And on this one, I started with this center motif right here. Oh, so what did I do? I picked just four random colors, 2 blues and 2 yellows, sulky, and I wasn't sure how they would look, and I just said, just let them come and I'll use them. And they actually look really nice. So I'll show you what the colors are. So this is the palette right here. And so the blues actually look very similar, but they are a little bit different. One's like a royal blue. This is 1253. The other blue is 1076. I don't know what their actual names are. They have actual like descriptive names, but they're not listed on the spools. 1187 is this yellow, and it's like a super bright, like a bright yellow compared to this yellow, which is one of my favorites. This is 1024. And that's like more of a goldenrod kind of yellow. I love that yellow. The kind of yellow that almost is like veering towards orange. That's just one of my faves. It's like bright, sunny, happy yellow. I love it. So you can see the contrast when it's stitched up. So this here is that more goldenrod kind of yellow. This here is the more lemony, kind of brighter yellow. So they look different. The blues, you can't tell as much, but there is a contrast in the blues too. This is more of a dusty blue down here. This is more of a royal blue up here. And then, what did I use at the top? The border is that dusty blue again. And then these lines, diagonal lines, are that bright blue again. So, oh, this was like 2 evenings of stitching, maybe 3. So it works up super fast. It's pretty easy to stitch on. Bits of it are repetitive, like these diagonal borders get pretty repetitive. And I'll try to put a picture up. This is, once again, as with so many of 2x2 Stitch Art patterns, this is just the central motif. Like this square is the central motif of a much larger pattern. So I'm only doing this central square. I'm making it smaller. So I'm loving this 40 count. This barnwood, my video quality is not great. You're seeing the modeling on it, which is nice. It's got like really beautiful, unexpected things in it. It's mostly brown, like a cocoa brown, dark cocoa brown, but it has like touches of something that look kind of pink. It has touches that look sort of dark gray, like a charcoal, almost like a purpley shade. There's really, really lovely stuff happening in this fabric. I've stitched on an 18 count barnwood before. I did a ink circles, my blue velvet piece on that. And I love that too. But you know how it is on linen, you get better modeling. So it's just more interesting to look at. Okay. So those were my 2x2 Stitch Art pieces that I am stitching for Stitch for Ukraine. Check out 2x2 Stitch Art and see what you think of those patterns. Okay, next one was an unexpected start. I'm going to show it to you, but I'm not going to say much about it because it's a gift stitch and I'm still kind of working through what I want to do with it. I have been gardening a lot. I got my seeds started this week, and I have another set I have to get going on. We're like picking up sticks in the yard and kind of checking out the dirt situation and getting ready for planting. So I've been in kind of a garden state of mind. I started some sunflower seeds, in my seed starters. And so I thought, oh, I'd really love to stitch a sunflower. And I have something I want to do with this too, which I won't say too much about yet. So I was flipping through all my patterns in my stash to see, well, surely I must have something already that has a sunflower on it or a flower that I could turn into a sunflower. And I did. I have this one from Lila's studio. It's Beesy Spring, which came out last year. And so it's just been sitting in my stash. And look at those lovely sunflowers. I said, this is exactly what I want to do. So I have started it. It's so pretty. I do like a Lila studio pattern. I've stitched only one. Look at this terrible crease in my fabric. I did my Christmas stitch was a Lila studio. Is that my only one I've done? I think so. I'm loving this. There's another set of petals that have to go in that I haven't done yet. But I'm using just, this is all DMC from my stash. No, that's not true. This green is from a tiny skein from Silks for You. I had ordered a grab bag from them. The first year that I ever ordered Silks for You, I threw in a grab bag. And so there's a whole bunch of random colors from there. So I pulled a green from that. And then this is DMC either 08 or 09, this kind of cocoa brown. These are all DMCs around here. I do have a gentle art because if you look at the flower, there's the orange and the dark yellow, and then there are these outer petals, like way on the outside, that are a much brighter yellow. Like these little ones here. So I have I have a bright yellow that I actually did pull from another Lila. I do have a Lila Studio whip because Lila has a bee sampler that I've started before. So I pulled, there's a bright yellow in that one that I pulled out and I'm going to use for this one, for those bright petals. Or I could use my sulky goldenrod. I might throw that in there too. Anyway, stay tuned for updates on this because I have to do something with this that I'm not going to really share right now. Okay, those are my new starts. So I'm just going to be right back and we'll talk plans and then that'll be it for today. Okay, everybody, so we're down to the last bit here, plans. My immediate plan, not this weekend, but next weekend, April 3rd, Sunday, April 3rd, I'm doing that Stitch and Chat. Please join me. Please donate and please join me. We're raising money to help girls go to school. You'll hear a lot more about that at our Stitch and Chat. And check out the other video that I made earlier this week that has all the details on that. There's still plenty of time to join. I'm gonna take people like right up to the last minute as much as we can. So would love to see you there. It's a really small group right now. I think there's about 10 of us. So, and there's no expectation. It's on a Zoom. And there's no expectation to, have your cameras on or, speak up if that's something that bothers you. So you just, if you like hearing stories and you like stitching while hearing stories, you're going to enjoy it. So hope you can join us. That's April 3rd. WhipGo numbers haven't come out yet, but I'll be working on my WhipGo pieces. I really want to keep chipping away at those. Miriam, who is Marumi Crafts on Instagram and now on Gumroad too, has a new pattern out. So check that out. It's called Funky Peacock. It looks amazing and it's going to be part of a collection, which I'm super excited about. I have to ask Miriam if all of the collection will be the same size or if they will be different sizes. That's a question for Miriam. We'll find out. I'll put a picture up here. Of if I can get it, I'll put a picture up here of that one. Can't wait. I'm going to download that one today, and that's happening. I received some Stitchy Kindness, and I just love it so much, and I hope I don't cry because it was so pretty. So, Teresa, my Stitchy friend Teresa, asked me if I would want to receive a stitch. No, how does it go? A kit pass. You know what I'm talking about. It's like where you kit up something and then kit pass stitch. You kit something up and then you pass it along to somebody else. So she passed along something that I'm still gonna buy if it ends up in a shop. It's Michelle G's Odd World. And I guess it's so small. It's a 74 by 74 size pattern that Teresa only used because it's meant to go on a journal, right? Like here's another picture of it. It's meant to go on a journal, so it's small. There, like a lot of the thread and the fabric is still left over. So she asked if I would want to do it, and I said yes, please. So this is on my list to start, and I just love it. I mean, like I said, I've been waiting for this one to come into Michelle's shop anyway, or to be available. I don't know if Michelle sells things on her own. But this has been on my list for a long time. So I will still get it, even if it comes into the shop. But I just like having it here too. So thank you, Teresa. This was so nice. But actually, the not even more, just as exciting are like these little things that Teresa sent me. She decorated this lovely envelope with my name. Isn't that so pretty? I love stickers and all that kind of stuff. That's lovely. And then she stitched this little thing for me. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is this a freebie from Diana? It is Kismet Stitches. I think that's what it is, but you correct me because I can't remember for sure. And you aren't seeing it because my camera is not so great, but the color of this floss is unbelievable. She said it's Purple Rain by Color and Cotton. And you're getting the variegation, but you're not getting like the jewel toned brightness of it. It is so pretty. It's like a beautiful plum transitioning to like a raspberry color. And it's bright and jewel toned. It's not kind of muted the way it's showing up on camera. It's so, so pretty. Thank you. I love this. And then Teresa sent me a note. Really cute thing is she's at Theresas Stitches. To check out, Teresa has some very cute finishes you've got to check out on Instagram. She sent me her own quote unquote floss tube. So it's like a list of her FFOs and recent whips and haul. She like went down each category and listed what she's doing. I loved it. I thought it was so fun to see that. A paper floss tube. It's on paper. So thank you, Teresa. I just loved all of that. That just made like my whole month basically. So that'll be fun to stitch on. It stitches up so quick. So I have to give that a go. What else do I have to show you? I was going to show you one more thing. Oh, yes. Some items that I picked out from Market. So you already saw my sulky pack that I picked out from Market with all the autumn colors in it. I wanted to show you, I picked out a bunch of patterns. I got a bunch of patterns, but I'll show you 3 that I'm the most excited about. One of them is this Green Energy. It's by Pedal Pusher, and it's called Green Energy. And I don't know if you look at the side borders that are coming down, see the words? It says green on one side and energy on one side. It is super, super cute. And of course I was drawn to this because Steve and I totally messed up. In December, when we traveled for the holidays, we forgot to bring in our houseplants that we had out on the front porch, and it's not heated. All of our houseplants died. All of our houseplants that we'd kept out, that we killed so many plants, and it was devastating. I mean, we were so unaware. We didn't even pay attention to oh, it's horrible. And one of them was this beautiful, beautiful aloe plant, enormous, and it had like little baby aloes growing, and we had had it for more than 10 years. Disaster. So when I saw this, I thought, yes, it's going to be my memorial to the plants I've killed. It makes me sad. We are Do better. We need to do better. So yeah, anyway, that's all I can say, but I don't even have the words to describe how devastating that was. I am starting seeds. I can garden. We will see how that goes. Okay, I have two more to show you. This is another one. So you know I'm doing the Keslyns Quiet Strength. I have another whip by Keslyns. Is it called Cross Stitch Fun? I'll try to put a picture up here. It's a really enormous pattern with like a whole bunch of all different kinds of motifs in there and a really pretty kind of scrolled border on it. That's a whip that I have. So I picked up another Keslyns, and it's this one here, Color in Harmony. Looks like it has that round one and then this small one there too. It's so pretty. I like it because it's like a nice mix of green, blue, and purple. I think that's lovely. And actually, I'm going to check right now. Does it have... So it's charted in harmony threads. Anyone know anything about harmony threads? I would like to try them. I like experimenting with threads, so I don't know anything about them. It calls for 1, 2, 3, 4 harmony threads. It makes an 8-inch round or a 5x5 square on a 28 count. So I'll probably do it on 18 count or 36 count, but they're nice colors. I'm curious about it. I mean, it would be very easy to swap it out for DMC. They look like DMC colors. I can't tell from the picture if they're variegated. The green kind of looks variegated, but the others I'm not too sure. So anyway, that'll be an interesting experiment. Sarah and I are going to StitchCon this summer, and we're going to try to stop at some different needlework shops along the way if we can. And so one of my ideas, I don't want to get more, I got to stop getting patterns and fabric. I have plenty of that. But I thought, well, maybe a couple of these patterns, like my Green Energy and this one, I could get like 1 or 2 skeins of the floss so that I have like a couple at each stop. And then by the time we finish, I'll have it all kitted up. That's kind of an idea about that. But anyway, excited about that one. That'll be pretty. It gives me the same vibes as, anything else that's geometric, like ink circle. It looks very ink circle-y, that kind of thing. Willow Leaf samplers. Have you been looking at the new updates by Willow Leaf samplers on Etsy? She's been putting up, what is the designer's name? I'm not going to remember, but she's been putting up a whole bunch of patterns, and they're all really kind of geometric, like potentially monochromatic geometric patterns like that. They're really pretty. Okay, last one I'm going to show you is an unexpected pick for me, but I just fell in love with it. It's Matter in Hand by Jeannette Douglas. I guess I'm on a little bit of a Jeannette Douglas kick. So you know what did it for me? 2 things on this pattern. I think this symbol is so pretty. It's like a mini border sampler almost. I love that. And actually the first motif that really drew my eyes was the spool and how it has like the quilt motifs inside it. I'll hold it up a little closer. You see? It is just lovely. I love it. So I'll hold it back a little more so you can see. So it's a tribute to cross stitch. So it has, oh yeah, and this skein of floss, like the shadows on it, I think that's so pretty too. It's kind of unexpected and different. It looks a little prim, which I don't usually do. I'm not crazy about stitching houses, and there's a house down there, but I could easily replace that with like another spool or something. And then it has the words cross stitch written in a whole bunch of languages. So I'd like to maybe try to replace one of the languages with something else. Like it's very European heavy. So maybe replacing one of the languages with, Miriam, maybe you can tell me how to say cross stitch in Farsi. That'd be fun to do. So anyway, there's some different options. I like it, with so many patterns that have separate motifs. I feel like you can get creative and play around with it a little bit. So that's gonna be fun. I'm thinking, I don't know, I'm gonna pull up the DMC colors. It's charted in a whole bunch of different fancy flosses, but I'm going to pull up the DMC colors and see what they look like, you know, face to face, because sometimes the picture doesn't really reflect, you know, the actual flosses when you pull them up. I'm going to check the brightness of them because these are very muted colors. I want to see if I can do it in brighter colors. That's more my thing. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, there are a few of us who are starting this on May 1st. We're selling it. It's just the Matter in Hand sale. So Beth, Steadfast Stitcher, I think maybe Mary, Daydream Stitcher, Maria, who's Cup of Stitches. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody else. That's so far who's doing it. I'm doing it too. So if anyone wants to join, it'd be fun to see what everybody does with this, like what fabrics you pick out. I'm gonna try to kit this up today. Go pull my DMCs and just see what it all looks like. And I think I don't know if I should do it on linen. I'm gonna wait and see. How big is it? It's 139 by 164. And the model is stitched on a 40 count XJU Designs. So the design size, it says, is 6.5 by 8 3/8. So it's not that big. So we will see on that one. That'll be fun to do. Okay, enough staring at this pattern. I think we're done. Thank you for sticking around. As always, thanks for just listening about me go on and on about cross stitch. I think that's what we're all here for anyway. I will check in with you again in a month, but I'm hoping to see you on April 3rd at our Stitch and Chat. Like I said, go check out, this is Flosstube 18. So if you check out 17B, that has all the info on how to join us. I really hope you'll be there with us. And until then, I think that's it. Thanks so much for joining, and I'll check in with you before we know it. It'll be the end of April. Okay, thanks everybody. Have a good day.